I recently submitted my resignation for my $100,000 a year job to be a stay-at-home dad. So today, my wife, Kate, is going to interview me about that and ask me some questions. This sounds bold, right? But trust me, this wasn't some random midlife crisis. This was months of late-night pacing, calculator apps, and one very honest conversation with my wife. Hi, I'm Michael.
And I'm Kate.
Welcome to Kate and Mike's Adventures.
Well, I think that we need to provide a little bit of context. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what your training is in and what your education is in, just so that we get a feel for exactly what you gave up.
Yeah, so I went to school for electrical engineering. I was one of those guys who actually liked calculus. Graduated at the top of my class. I spent 5 years designing radar systems for planes and airports. Stuff that sounds cool at parties, but mostly meant long hours behind the screen.
Why did you decide to leave your job?
Well, as an intellectual, the main two people that I trust raising our daughter are us. And you love your job more. It just made sense. Kate's work is changing the world, and I realized mine didn't have to happen at a desk anymore. My job now is here, with her.
Were there like a pro and cons that you weighed as you were making it that you perhaps didn't immediately share with me?
I don't know, I wouldn't say pros and cons, I would say mostly goal shifting, I guess. You know, for instance, when I was in high school, my physical goals was to be a college wrestler. But now, one of my physical goals is to walk my daughter down the aisle one day. And after I hurt my back in the military, that might not be a reality.
What was your state of mind as you were trying to finalize the decision? Did you think that I would agree with it ultimately?
Well, I knew you would agree with it. You're pretty not that much unagreeable. You know what I'm saying? And it pretty much boiled down to a few things, I guess. I'm privileged enough that I can choose not to have my daughter go to daycare. We had the chance to choose. And that made the choice harder, not easier. I mean, I'm 36 years old. If I don't make a career change now, I will never do it. I love engineering, but it doesn't offer the ability to stay physical. It's not that I stopped loving the work. I just stopped loving the version of myself it was turning me into. The low physicality, the stay-at-home isolation, those all are bad for my health, both mental and physical. That's in direct contrast to my goals moving forward with my daughter. She deserves a dad who's fully present and still able to chase her when she starts to run. I'm a big fan of the TV show Amazing Race. It would kill me if I can't walk and I can't go in that, or even apply, even have the fun opportunity to make a application video with her. I don't want to sit life out from the sidelines. I want to race alongside her, and if I can't, then what was all this for?
I didn't have this question initially, but did you find your job fulfilling before?
My entire adult life, I have been working for my nation, for my country. And that in itself has been fulfilling. I was in the military, of course, and then when I got out of the military, I worked for the Navy directly. Then when I got done with that, I worked for a contracting company that built radars for defense purposes. Service runs deep in my family, but I realized now it's time for me to serve closer at home.
One of the biggest things or biggest aspects that led to your decision or that made you contemplate this decision was the finances. So we should probably talk about more specifically how much the endeavor would cost if you stayed at your job and we put her in childcare.
To keep Anastasia in a daycare, with state, federal, Social Security, Medicaid, all the taxes that I would get taxed on my income would have equaled $42,000. Yeah. Basically, the government and daycare teamed up to steal half my paycheck.
Yeah, that is crazy to think about. And it made me think about it because you said you have the privilege of staying home with her, but privilege means that, we can afford, I guess we can afford to lose a good chunk of money and still be okay. But I can't imagine that people making, an average income can afford to send their kids to daycares.
I think it's a combination of our state that we live in. We live in New York State. Healthcare here is higher than most of the nation. And then also the fact that we live so far from our family, so we don't have as much help.
We probably haven't felt the true financial burden yet of being a single income household. But what do you think the biggest or the most drastic changes will be in?
No more steak night. No, I'm just kidding. We'll have steak night. Just cheaper steak. I would have to say the gym, right? So
That's true, yeah.
We both do CrossFit and we stopped going to the gym. So that's $300 saved a month right there. Well worth the $300. But it was on the chopping block. It was the next thing and I had to go.
Tragic thing for me to give up temporarily.
And Kate's been in the CrossFit gym consistently for the last 7 years.
And I think I've consistently gone, 5 to 6 days a week. What else did we have to?
Our maid. We got rid of our maid.
Housekeeper.
Oh, we got rid of our housekeeper. I'm sorry. So that was another $400 a month, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a big change. Now we have to clean our own house. And currently, I'm still on my 3-month family vacation or 3-month family leave or whatever for having a child. Parental leave. That's the word I'm looking for.
I'm so happy that after the first 2.5 months, you still call it a vacation.
Yeah, I'm on vacation. I had grand plans for this too. Like I was gonna rent an RV. We were gonna go see Yellowstone and Glacier National Park with the newborn, and I rarely left the bedroom. I'm just now starting to get around town,
We have gone to Indiana and
Yeah, we've gone to Indiana. That was rough.
their expectations for what men are supposed to do and the roles they're supposed to have in our society. Do you worry that people will critique your decision?
People will judge me for being a stay-at-home father, but the fact of the matter is I have worked diligently and saved my money and built investments and stuff so that I could afford to do this. Even though the money's tight, I can afford to do it. So therefore, what I do with my wealth once I get to a point where I can utilize it is my prerogative.
So is there advice that you would give to other couples who are contemplating whether or not to send their children to daycare or to have one of them stay at home?
Everyone's different, but I guess I'm reminded of another quote. I don't know who it's by. I'll put it here and who it's by. It's something like, "You'll catch nothing if you chase 2 rabbits." At some point, we had to ask, do we want more stuff or more time with our kid? That made the decision a lot simpler.
So what projects are you working on now? What's in the pipeline for the near future?
Doing some YouTube projects, like I'm building a chicken coop because eggs are outrageous. Anastasia and I will go see some sustainable chicken farms, see their process, and then try to implement some of that at home to be more sustainable. Also, I got my state guides license, and I'm gonna start giving guided tours to the waterfalls around here. We have some of the best waterfalls in the world. I'm starting small, just my backyard, my family, and my little corner of the world. But the goal, to create something better for her, and to show that even big changes can start right at home.
Well, that's the end, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching Kate and Mike's Adventures. Anastasia says the interview's over, so we'll see you next time.